Welcome, everyone, to Biz Talk on Now Media Television. I am your host today, Rachel Weaver, and I am thrilled to be here today with a very special guest, Jake Linville. Jake is a certified public accountant that specializes in providing expert guidance tailored to the needs of businesses and individuals. Jake, welcome. Thank you for coming to the show.
Thanks for having me.
I am excited to dive right into some questions today. We are going to be talking today about ethical and social responsibility in business finance. So, Jake, tell us, how can businesses integrate ethical financial practices and social responsibility into their financial decision-making processes?
Sure, that's a great question. So first, I would recommend taking the opportunity to be transparent in your reporting. That's if you're, publicly traded, but if you're privately held, be as transparent as you possibly can with your investors and your owners. That way you can make sure to help them understand all the financial and non-financial things that are going on in the business and that are going around the business. Disclosing as much as possible just makes it better for everyone. And secondly, I would make sure that you engage with your stakeholders. And stakeholders just means basically your investors and your customers, and also employees. Make them feel like they're part of whatever it is that you are doing. Make sure that you get their feedback into what you're doing. Sometimes companies, and we've seen it in the news recently, and I won't name any names, but sometimes companies make really big mistakes and they don't consult their customers or their stakeholders first. They think, oh, this is hip and trending, let's do this, and then it backfires. So make sure you engage with those folks. And employee well-being is always a good thing to do. Make sure that your employees are taken care of, and make sure that they actually feel taken care of. And this is my take: stop telling your employees that you're a family or you're like a family. That's a false thing to tell your employees, because if you didn't need them, you probably wouldn't have them around, and vice versa. So just be honest with your employees. Tell them that they're valued for what they do. Don't pretend that they're your brothers and your sisters. I mean, you can treat them that way, but don't pretend like your family, because you're there for a purpose. I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean it in a good, wholesome way. And also make sure you get involved with your community. You can always volunteer at the food bank, donate to the food bank, do blood drives. Anything philanthropic is good. And, usually try and get some visibility in that. But what actually really helps the word in the community is actually not trying to get the media involved in seeing what you're doing. Try and keep it quiet, because word of mouth is strong. And if you're doing that and you're not trying to take credit for it, it'll go a long way to helping your community. And this goes to long-term value creation, because you're not just looking for a quick buck. Also, make sure that your leaders are ethical. Do thorough background checks on them. Make sure that they don't have any hints of fraud or theft in their background, or domestic abuse, etc. And always make sure that you're looking at continuous improvement. Like I've harped before on other segments, Tipalti, it reduces 80% of your accounts payable work. Invest in Tipalti. Call me, I'll help you with that. But you can, instead of getting rid of your accounts payable employees, which you may be inclined to do, reinvest their time elsewhere in more value-added activities and things.
Very good. Wow, good insight. So thank you. Can you tell me, what are some examples of businesses that have successfully balanced profit with social and environmental impact?
Sure. The companies that I think of are doing more with less, and they're also not being political about it. They're not doing things that draw attention to them. In the political spectrum, they stay neutral. Like one of my, I'm not a big fan of Michael Jordan. However, he was an amazing basketball player, and he's been reported to say Republicans buy basketball shoes too. So don't get into politics, but just do it what's right because it's right for everyone. And two examples that I have are one, Local Bounty, and that's spelled with an I at the end. They're in the sustainable controlled environmental agriculture industry. That's a fancy word for they grow lettuce in greenhouses. You can go and find them at localbounty.com. That's a bounty with an I. Their concept is to reduce the number of miles between production and consumption, which is a win for both the customer and the company. It's a win-win for everybody. I don't know about you, but when you go to buy lettuce at the grocery store, you usually have to have a plan for that lettuce. If you don't, it's going to go bad within a couple of days. But if you buy Local Bounty lettuce, it won't. It'll actually last in your fridge for a couple of weeks because of how close it is to where you live and the way that they grow it. It's not technically organic, but they don't use any pesticides and stuff. It's all grown indoors in a controlled environment to make sure that it's the best. And the other example that I can think of is Sound Physicians. They focus on improving the patient experience in hospitals and other medical settings. So these guys take the frustration out of staffing and running a hospital and put the focus where it should be, which is on the patients and their experience. They're fantastic. What they do is they come in, and if you run a hospital or have a hospital, they'll come in and they'll staff everything, every department, every area, nurses, doctors, ER doctors, everybody. They'll come in and staff it for you, and they'll run it for you, and they'll improve your customer experience, which is really what the focus of, besides getting people to feel better and be healthier, really should be the focus. And so Local Bounty and Sound Physicians are really two examples that I would say really stand out in the crowd or stand out from the crowd.
Now, Jake, can you tell us what are the potential financial benefits of a socially responsible business model, and how can it impact a company's bottom line?
Sure. So if you're doing these things that we've just been talking about, one, you'll have an enhanced brand reputation, not because you're going out there and saying, hey, look at me and how wonderful I am, but you'll have word of mouth in the community, and people will say, hey, you know what? This guy, this gal, this company, they're doing good things for our community. I'm gonna spend money with them. You're going to end up having loyal customers. You're going to be able to hopefully retain those customers if you continue with this kind of activity. And another side benefit would be you would be able to attract top talent. If you have a good reputation, you're going to have people that will want to work there or be a part of it. Also, when you're doing these things and you're thinking about the environment and what you can do to make things better, you're going to look for things that are sustainable. So you end up with, in the long run, operational efficiency and cost savings. And I say that for one reason. In the short run, it might not be operationally efficient or cost efficient to do things sustainably. But if you do it in the long run, you will figure it out, and you will be able to have a sustainable business that sustains itself, and the things that you need for that business. Or if it's something that you're growing or selling, that you'll be able to continually provide to your customers. And with great brand reputation, you're going to be able to have better access to capital. You might have a better reputation in the community, so you might be able to go to your banks and maybe even some local wealthy individuals that might be able to give you capital that might otherwise not be available. If you have a bad rep, you might not be able to have as much access to that capital. And when you're thinking about how to make things better, more efficient, more sustainable. You also have a side benefit of proactively thinking about social and environmental regulations that could come your way. And so maybe start doing those things before you have to. So those are some of the things that I would share.
Some great insight from you today, Jake. So thankful to have you on the show. Can you tell us, where can the audience find you?
You can find me at bookmycpa.com. It's spelled just like how it sounds. And we have a special going on right as we're going to be heading into tax season. So if you go to the webpage that you see right there, click the white button there, find the service that you want, put in the code TAX, TAX. When you check out, you'll get a 25% discount on your first purchase. So I look forward to helping you, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. And we look forward to seeing you again next week, Jake. In the meantime, we will be right back after this commercial break.